Hey, what's going on, guys? Derek James here with GovKidMethod.com. I was able to win 32 U.S. federal government contracts before my 30th birthday worth over $15 million. And now today I spent a lot of time helping new small business owners to start winning government contracts and to cross that finish line to wherever they want to be with their business. And so in today's video, I am covering a solicitation. This is actually something that I recently responded to for bid myself. And I wanted to do this video because as I'm recording this, it is July 28th, 2019, and it's in the final quarter of the government's fiscal calendar. And if you don't know what I mean by that or what exactly that means, it means they're in the fourth quarter that goes all the way through or up to September 30th, and they have, an X amount of their budget. All the federal government agencies, DoD and non-DoD, they have to spend the money in their budget, or if they don't, they lose it, and they don't get that differential that they didn't spend. Then they won't get that money back next year for their budget. So that means they're buying everything that they can think of and justify that they would need. And so there's a lot of activity in the final quarter every year. So this is July, August, and September months. And so this is when I like to spend a lot of my time kind of bidding on smaller, I like to call them kind of quick flips. And what I mean, and I'll be going over in today's solicitation breakdown, is something that's not going to require a whole lot of time, something that's very fairly easy and straightforward to respond to, and it's just something that you can put a small margin on and make a quick bit of money. And if you do this, if you're responding to a few of these a week, and you say you win 20% of them, that's not bad. You can definitely clean up, and this is just on top of doing your bread and butter proposal responses for the things that you're really going after that are probably larger and exactly in your wheelhouse. But the other reason I wanted to go over this type of solicitation is that this is something that's great for somebody who is new. For a small business that doesn't have any past performance yet on the government side, this allows you to respond and possibly win without needing the past performance, because past performance isn't required for a lot of these. And a lot of the folks that are in our Facebook group, that's a big hurdle for them. They don't have the past performance, and so it's kind of like the chicken and the egg thing. Where do I get started? So this is a great way. And even if you haven't opened or registered your business yet, this gives you a little bit of hope and confidence that, okay, once you do that, at the very least you can start going after these things, and then you can get past performance, and then you get some really good snowball momentum rolling in the right direction, and you just keep bidding on better stuff from there on out. So without any further ado, let's jump in today's solicitation. And as I mentioned, yes, this is something that I actually bid on, and I'm sharing this with you because the response date has already passed, so I'm not going to get any inadvertent competition by doing this video. So this solicitation number 967147 NBRL is for a thermal imaging camera for the Department of Agriculture, the USDA. As you can see, the response date was July 24th. It was just this past week, and it was a total small business set aside. So there was no particular pools like 8A hub zone, service disabled. And the NAICS code for this was 325992. This was not in my wheelhouse NAICS code, so I just went to my sam.gov profile and updated my entity registration NAICS code section to include this NAICS code, so that if I do get this award, the government does see that I'm qualified to perform under this particular NAICS code. Now, quickly scrolling down through the solicitation, you can see the government intends to award a firm fixed price. That means they're just going to give you one chunk of money, and you have to fulfill the contract based on that amount. And any money that you can save or whatever, you get to keep. It's not all contracts are like that. like a time and materials contract or something. You have to submit your time and materials, and that's more construction related. Something like this with equipment, you're typically always going to see a firm fixed price. The second thing that you see just below firm fixed price is technically acceptable. I should say lowest price technically acceptable, LPTA. This means essentially the government's looking just for the lowest price, the lowest bidder. They know that everybody's probably going to be bidding on the same thing. Hopefully, hopefully you're not confused and submitting the wrong thing here. In this case, a thermal imaging camera. So everything being equal, all parts being apples to apples, it's just going to be lowest price. So what I always do when I get started, and I don't know what most of the solicitations are for, but I usually have a vague idea. So this is thermal imaging camera. So I'm like, okay, it's going to be some sort of high-tech camera. That's all that I really know. And then I put that into Google, everybody's best friend. And I'm seeing these different things pop up that I've never seen before. I'm seeing the prices. I'm like, oh, okay. It's probably going to be one of these, and it's probably going to be in this little bit of ballpark, but I'm not sure. And because I've already looked at this and bid this, I can tell you, actually, this is none of these are the camera. So, but as you scroll down, you can see this is not a long solicitation. This is all we're working with. So we don't have to hash through too much today. There's not even any attachments that I have to open up or anything. But if you read in the specs here, they call for a FLIR thermal imaging camera, MSX, Ultramax, FLIR T660 kit 1525. So I'm like, okay, now I know exactly what they want. It's not just a thermal imaging camera. They want the FLIR T660 kit 1525. And when I put that in, now we get a whole different picture. And so when I saw this, I was like, okay, now we're cooking with gas, because look at the quote just from 3 different sources here. We're north of 36 grand. And that's something I like, because if it was only $1,000, I'm probably not interested, because, say I were to, say just a round number that I put a 10% margin on it. That's not typically what I do. So don't use that. But 10% on 1,000 is only going to be $100. And if something, was slightly misquoted or there's a mistake, you have no margin to cover that. And now you're in the hole. So, if it was only $1,000, like if you remember the first time when I just Googled thermal imaging camera, they were like between $300 and $1,000. Like that's way too low with a quantity of 1. If it's a quantity of 10 or something, that's a little bit better. But this is just a quantity of 1. So we see that this actually comes up in the first search result. I put this in. Boom, I'm seeing the FLIR T660 kit. And it says they've got the 1525 lens. So I know that this is exactly what this is. They have a downloadable data sheet here. Perfect. This gives me a lot more information. This tells me exactly what I'm looking at. It gives me the confidence that I am looking at the same thing that the government wants. So when I did my proposal, I actually used this. I actually attached this as a brochure in the email submission with my proposal to let the government know from the technical acceptability side of things that we're speaking the same language, and this is the exact brochure of the camera that we are proposing. So coming back, I only knew that because they gave this exact title with specs in it. If it was just some random thermal imaging camera and they said that it had to meet a couple things, a couple criteria, I might not bid on it. There's probably a 50-50 chance or more that I wouldn't bid on it, just because I don't want to get into the game of telling the government what they want. I want them to tell me what they want, and I want to put a price on it. And you really need to understand that there is a big difference, and there's a lot of contracts out there in every every stage of the game, whether it's construction, professional services, equipment, and everything in between. Sometimes they will write the requirements. You tell them what they want, and those kind of scare me. And oftentimes they are firm fixed price, just because the government's saying, okay, you're kind of reading our minds, because all you have is a statement of work to base your whole proposal on, and you're going to tell us what we want. And then if you get the award and you give them what they want and it's not what they want, it's on you. And you essentially, then they tell you what they want. Then their program manager steps in, or their the core or whoever, and they're like, oh, we wanted this, and you're kind of like, well, why didn't you put that in the proposal? And in this case, they did. But you have to kind of be on the watch for things like that, guys. And unless you're very certain what the government wants, I would just close it out, and I wouldn't bid it. Too bad for them. They're not going to get your bid, because they don't even know what they want, or they don't want to be specific enough to tell you. So again, that's why I chose this. The message I really want to get across is to see how simple, short, and concise this whole thing here is. I'm scrolling down the page to show you how short this actually is. There was not much I had to read through, which means there's not a lot that I can get wrong here. And they're telling me the exact spec, so that weeds out any of the guesswork. This is total small business set aside, so it's not a full and open competition. I'm not competing with, the original equipment manufacturers or anybody like that who would otherwise be able to quote this. So again, showing you guys that there's quick flips, like I like to call them, out there that are very simple, straightforward, that give you the opportunity to get that initial past performance. I am not a big operation here. I don't own some building and have 10 employees where I have overhead and G&A and these other expenses that I have to, per my, accounting system, that I don't have to spread out over every bid or every contract that we win, like other, established small GovCon businesses have to do. It is just myself. And I'm saying that because you guys watching, a lot of you, it's probably just you, or it's just you and one other person, or it's just you and your spouse, or it's just you and a 1099 person, or maybe a consultant, right? Your expenses are not very high. It's just your time. And if you can put together a halfway decent proposal, you can see all you really have to put together, with this, is a price. And as I told you, you put in a data sheet. What I did was I pulled these bullet points from the product features. I put them in a technical capability section as well to let the government know what they're getting. I included a photo. It just makes for a nice little proposal, and it just rules out any guesswork for the government to not find you technically acceptable. If you got the picture, you got the bullet points, you've got everything, they're going to know that you're proposing exactly what they want. And there's, it's all comes down to price. And so that's what I'm talking about with your guys' expenses. If you haven't gotten set up yet and you're thinking about it, or you've been set up for a year or two and you're not winning any prime contracts, you probably don't have a whole lot of overhead. Your G&A is probably none. So your expenses are probably just your time. So that's going to allow you to put slim margins on these. They call it buying past performance, where you're not concerned about making a whole lot of money, or, maybe not any money at all really on these smaller jobs. Instead, you're getting something so much more valuable, which is you're getting a contract award. So you're getting a prime contract award when you win this little thermal imaging camera thing. Maybe you make $1,000 or $2,000, but you're getting past performance. You're getting a contract number to your company's name that is a prime contract. You're getting a relationship with a contracting officer, or a contracting specialist, or both. Somebody who you can market to in the future, somebody whom you can now request a capability briefing to let them know everything that your company does. You can ask referrals of these people. So all things that can lead to future bigger and better business can come from, essentially buying a past performance, coming in at a small margin on something small like this that is as simple as if like I said, we bid on this. So if we get this, I actually got a quote. I got an emailed quote from Test Equipment Depot and one other company. And so if I get the award, all I have to do is order it and then deliver it. And I think I have 60 days to get it there or something. And that's all I have to do. So it's okay to have small margins because, you're buying past performance. For me, I wasn't doing this just for small margins. I think I put $2,000 on top of this and I spent an hour on it. So, it'll be probably an hour worth of work after I get the award too, if we win. So for 2 hours, $2,000, it's a really good trade. It's $1,000 an hour. That's why I went after this. But again, if you are somebody who's new and you're wanting to get past performance, this works really, really good for that. And there's a lot of these on the street. You can be bidding a couple of these a week. They could be four-wheelers or snowmobiles or cabinets. One thing that I would be careful of is kind of staying away from something that requires like installation or assembly, because then you have to have either yourself or somebody boots on ground. It requires a labor associated with it, and that just opens yourself up to a little bit of risk. It's really not that big of a deal, but it's just it complicates things a little bit if you're just looking for, again, a quick flip. This essentially all I'm doing is drop shipping this. I get the award, I order it, it gets delivered, they say that they like it, then I bill out in the WAF, wide area workflow, and get paid in 30 or 60 days, and everybody's happy. So there's not too much more I wanted to cover in today's video. I wanted to show you guys something, kind of real in the trenches. Like I said, it's the end of July. It's the last fiscal quarter. A lot of stuff starting to happen. If you're able to bid, you should be bidding. I want to give you a little bit of, confidence and motivation that, even if you're new, this is something that you can get in and do as a very first bid. Your proposal should just be a cover sheet, your technical, write up, if you even want to call it that. It's just going to be including the specs and the data information from the camera. And then you just do a little pricing table, showing the quantity and, the unit cost, which is just, one, and then the total, to include your markup, have your own Excel pricing breakdown and save off in a folder, but don't include that with your submission. Just, you just do the grand total on the proposal bid, PDF that thing, email it out to the contracting officer, and it's a done deal. Move on to the next. Oh yeah, make sure that you get the NAICS code updated in your SAM. And if you don't win, feel free to go in and take it back out, because you don't want to have like 50 NAICS codes, because it makes you look like a joke company. So yeah, just keep a running list of the NAICS codes that you're adding, and take them out if you don't win, or you don't think you'll be using it again, because photographic equipment, that is not what my company's primary objective is. So all right, guys, well, I hope that you found this video helpful. If you have any questions, definitely leave those in the comments, or I highly encourage, if you're watching this on YouTube, come check out our closed Facebook group for winning government contracts. I think we have currently almost 200 small business owners in there, and prospective small business owners. So it's a great place to ask questions, and it's where I share all of my my most recent resources and information that I make as well. And you can find that in the link of the video if you want to check that out. So until next time, guys, stay hungry, keep bidding those contracts, and we will see you next time.